What's going on, Macro Perspective community? Really looking forward to this podcast today. We have a great guest, but before then, make sure you guys share. You're definitely going to want to share this one. And before we kind of get into today, make sure you guys grab a copy of our Daily Perspectives journal, our morning intentions, and our nighttime ritual journal. I think you guys are going to enjoy this one. But today, man, I'm super excited to kind of explore this conversation. We got Matt Vincent on the line today, and I've been following Matt since 2019. There was a video of him with Garage Jim's Coop, and literally in the video, I had to pause it like 4 times because he said one thing, and I was like, this guy gets it. He said, I can choose to work hard today. And that moment right there, I was like, yep, I'm clinging on to this guy. And ever since 2019, I think I bought probably like one thing from his store every month. Half my closet's there. I'm wearing some hate brand right now, which has been changed to not dead yet. But Matt, I just want to say thanks so much for being a great impact. Really looked up to, a lot of the stuff that you do, the things that you talk about. Yeah, mind just introducing yourself to the community, and we'll kind of get into this conversation.
Sure, man. First, honored to hear all that. It's been a journey, man. What started as an athlete and kind of this pursuit with the Highland Games, and I'm always I always love when I meet guys like you that have been on board for a long time. But really, that's only 2019, right? Like the last time I competed was 2016,
Mm,
and so it's really cool to be able to transition into something more than having to be the Scottish Highland Games world champion.
yeah.
It's hard, and it's a tough transition to choose whenever you build a following up around one thing and decide I want to go a different way. So yeah, thank you, man, for all the support throughout the years. It's been a hell of a journey. I won a couple Highland Game World Championships and had a knee go south on me, and ended up with a total knee replacement after a bunch of years of knee surgeries that didn't go great, and kind of through that process decided to redesign and relaunch my life. And I've been full gas that direction ever since.
Man, that's fire. I know I followed a little bit of that. It seemed like you had like nine or something, nine surgeries or something like that
Yep,
uh, on the
nine
knee.
total.
I I I commend you on the knee surgeries. I tore my knees too, wrestled in all the way up to college, so it's like all that jiu-jitsu, all those kind of things, and just getting hurt. The knee is just this finicky thing. So for you to, hey, do I lift up the pants again, and do I decide to go compete, or do I redesign? And I've had that conversation with myself. My whole left side, shoulder, neck, trap. Marcos knows. We were doing physical therapy together last month. He's like, "You, what the hell is up with that shoulder?" Um, and my low back, like, you kind of have to start thinking about like that progression of who you are as a person. Hey, am I this athlete anymore? Do I still have the same mindset, but it's probably got to be a different avenue now.
Well, for me, look, I got at this point and how I feel about it. I got lucky enough that when I got injured, like I didn't know the last time I was going to compete was the last time I was going to compete.
Mm,
And so through that course of having surgeries not go well in rehab, I came to the realization of like, oh, we're never going to do this again. Like the where we're shooting for as the return from this surgery now looks like being able to walk without pain, not compete as the best in the world.
yeah.
And that shifted perspectives a lot, and so how do you go forward with this thing, and how do I take all the great lessons I got from throwing and competing to build the next thing? Because greatness is the same recipe. You know, what it took there is the consistent showing up, the not giving a fuck what anyone thinks about my desire to go this direction. I mean, look, I spent 10 years training for a sport alone in a garage and throwing in a field by myself. No one's into the Highland Games. It's not like there's a group of friends that are pulling you toward it. And so like I already know that like I've got that characteristic in me. So how do we apply that going forward to slay the next dragon? I mean, that chapter of life that competing was is going to come to an end at some point. but what did I really learn from it? What do I really pull from it that I can be thankful for ever going on that journey? And what I learned is how to perform when it counts. What I learned is how to be able and assess my own weaknesses in a way that I don't get emotionally caught up in it. If someone's telling me to fix my squat, I don't talk about, well, I learned this in childhood and that means my dad's wrong now. But there's emotional stuff that's going to take some more unlearning. But if I can look at all of those traits as the ability to get better at without having my emotion get in the way, then I can make changes. I'm not tied to that old identity anymore.
Ooh, that's deep. The identity mindset and resetting the identity is like, I think it's pivotal in a lot of people's lives, and unbeknownst to them, it's going to happen at some point. Kind of what we've stumbled upon is that mindset still exists. Like that's why we call the people we're trying to work with athlete 2.0, because it's like
Mm-hmm.
reinventing that old inner fire of the athlete, but with new intentions. And I mean,
Look at how few people actually make choices, right? Like, I mean, most people, the last time something ended like that is like high school sports. If you were an athlete or some high school band or some high school group that you were part of.
yep.
And then the people that you surround yourself or who came kind of installed with whatever job or college you chose to go to. So, like, when are people deciding in that second act to choose to suck at something for a while so they can get better at it again? Like, we pretend it takes forever, but you have to start at sucking at something and you have to be able to take and swallow that sucking at it for a long time.
Ooh,
And people are
yeah.
terrified of it.
Yeah, probably the average person. It excites me personally.
Same.
Yeah,
Every time I've ever done anything great was toward that direction.
yeah. How many
Yeah.
failure points do you usually find as like as an average towards the things that you might like quote unquote suck at first? Like, 'cause I feel like it's been countless and or still failing in a lot of capacities, but like it's still motivating to know like maybe I'm not the best person for this thing. I need to find somebody else that's in it. Like for me, it might be like video editing. Yeah, I can learn how to
Sure.
do some of the things, but like the rate at which I can do it is a rate limiter of producing it on a scale that actually is like fruitful. So then like, yeah.
So, in regards to like entrepreneurship, right? Like, one, failure is a way better teacher. At least then I have some data of like something that didn't work. Let's try to figure out why. But what you're talking about, right? Like, I mean, when I started kind of doing content, I was doing a daily vlog, I was traveling to compete, and I was running the brand and had a regular full time career. And so I taught myself to edit by doing a daily vlog because the answer wasn't, I got to make sure this video is perfect. I understand I need to get to video 100.
Hmm.
I'll be better at video 100. Who gives a shit how good video 3 looks?
No
Start
one.
learning from it,
Yeah.
start putting it out there and get feedback, right? The same way I would as an athlete. And so that allows that time to just suck at stuff that it takes. And then by the time that I was able to hire someone, because I can see where in my businesses and what universe I'm trying to build, where my immediate attention needs to be focused. It sure as shit ain't doing accounting. You know what I mean? Like, that's a terrible job. I need to figure out how to pay someone to do that as quick as possible. And then video editing, me having a background in video editing or me having a background in apparel design or Illustrator or doing any of that, that allows me to be able to translate my idea better to my video editors so that they can hit the target. Like, they're an extension of you.
Yeah.
They're not hired to be able to see it your way. It's your job to be able to explain it.
Yeah. The vision and, uh, I like the analogy here. It's like, how do you know what you're paying for unless you've done it, like once or twice yourself? Because then
Mm-hmm.
you can look at it as an opportunity cost experiment. And from there, you're able to understand how much your normal hourly rate might be with the stuff that actually makes you money and whether or not you should sub it out or have a contractor or whatever that looks like. And my story here is like, I bought a used fridge for our old house like 4 years ago, 5 years ago. And there was like an issue with the ice dispenser and it was like leaking water. and watched a YouTube video. It's like, try this first. If it doesn't work, then maybe you need to, go seek some deeper things. I was like, oh yeah, this thing is gunked up. So I like sat there literally with a blow dryer, like defrosting it for the whole day. It's like a whole day project. Got it done. Literally probably saved $400 or $500 for this fix.
Right.
Right. But that like taught me, some things. It's like, hey, everything I need to do as a first time homeowner, are probably those little like life lessons, and I remember being up in the attic crawl space, like laying down insulation with my dad. And I'm looking at this, it's like, man, we could have just like probably paid somebody like $200 to do this. But like the reward of doing it that first time was like, oh yeah, like I have the ability to do these things. And I honestly, I keep up my training to be able to do shit like that. In all honesty.
And so like, think about how many people that grew up in a house where they believed and were told they were stupid and not to try stuff and they were in the way. So where that ends up blocking them later in life with, well, I should already know how to do these things. I'm this old. And then they keep that bravado up instead of actually saying, I don't know how to do any of this shit. Maybe I should just learn.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, even for me in school, like I didn't accelerate there at all. Like classroom setting wasn't for me. I mean, I did enough to not get in trouble. I made B's and C's all the way through and never really cared about it.
Mm-hmm.
But I figured out how to get done what I needed to get done to get where I wanted to go.
It's funny you say that.
I mean,
I heard that. Sorry, Seamus. I heard that most people that may be kind of the mindset like that, Matt, where school wasn't the best teacher for them, that they actually are more entrepreneurial and do learn through like their intrinsic growth happens through like some extrinsic motivators in a sense, right? Like, like something that school really can't provide outside of a grade. And so like,
well, our education system isn't built on creative problem solving. Our education system is built on being able to memorize and be able to respond to an adult authority figure and be quiet.
Yeah.
Like our entire education system is built on a mixture of German and Japanese education systems that makes really great factory workers and military people.
Yep.
That's the point. Like it's not built for those of us who want to step outside the realm of what normal life is, which is contributing by joining a job and being part of that place for however many years.
Yeah, and those situations don't exist. Like, name a job that still has a pension.
No, man, we're changing. We're changing. We're in really complicated times.
Yeah. Stressful.
Yeah.
I mean,
I wanted to ask. Yeah, go ahead, Matt.
Right? Like, I mean, saying it's stressful. This is the best opportunity there's ever fucking been to make money for yourself.
Oh, I mean, it's stressful in the way of like a lot of people are constantly trying to future proof their plans. So the idea of like,
good luck.
I know.
What a complete waste of fucking energy. Like,
yeah.
If I went back and talked to me 10 years ago, I'm 30. I'm in the year that I'll win my second world championship. Like, if I told him what my life looks like now, and make no mistake, he's on the path to creating it. He just doesn't know it. But if I was to sit down and say, hey, man, this is what we do for a living. This is what it looks like. Here's what our life looks like. I'd tell you you're full of shit.
Yeah.
So why am I going to waste a bunch of time trying to predict what's going to be going on in the next 10 years when what I can do is just push forward every day with action toward my purpose, which is creating. I want to create impact. I want to create opportunity. I want to create apparel that means something to people. I want to create this community that we built. I want to create, whether that's with podcast or content.
Yeah. It's so funny you say that, Matt. Like, I had a crucial conversation with some family yesterday. Marcos doesn't even know, but but things are greenlit for me and the lady pretty soon enough. And I called our producer because she was super helpful in a few things, and I told her, I was like, I know that we're kind of starting our offers. We've got like our journal, we've got our community and our ecosystem that we're coaching, and we have all these entrepreneurial, informational tidbits that we're going to be coming out with content wise, and we're going to be helping so much people doing that in our little niche. But I want you to remain in the mindset that you're here to serve. You're here to create, you're here to push through. And I literally told her, I'm like, look, if there's late nights, 2 a.m, do this, whatever, like, it's just going to be like that. That's how it is.
Yeah,
We're
making
not
money is a
normal.
side being.
Yeah. I just told her, like, if we're trying to do this and we're trying to be normal, it's for a while, it's not there. We're going to push until life says, okay, you need to bring balance back, you know? Um, and I know Marcos is feeling that. I'm feeling that. We've been feeling it a lot lately.
Right. So something along those lines, and with entrepreneurs, man, I'm for all the gas, but I
Yeah.
also know where that runs into for people.
Yeah.
So in the same way that we would let's look at it in the same way that we're talking about training, right? That like you want to make progress with your business on as close to a linear path as you can, like you would training, right? Like that's kind of the goal of getting stronger. How often do you purposely schedule a deload for work stress?
Well, for me, I've gotten my recovery systems down pretty well. That I actually do stuff like date night every Friday night. There's like a recovery, like I do some sound bath and like massage stuff every week, and I do like a daily like reset. Just because I know it's just been something I've been doing since high school because of like my background in
Yeah,
wrestling. I
when's
just
the last
always
time you
knew.
took like 3 days and let your brain clear out from any of this shit? Didn't answer your phone for 3 days.
It's been a minute. Been a minute.
When I was in college.
Because like the way I look at it, right, is I'm for push, 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 and I'm down for daily recovery. The way we're talking about it, that's cold
Yeah.
plunge, that's sauna, that's all the other modalities that we do. But still, in any good training program that's going to make long progress over decades, you take deloads so that you come back stoked to train. You
Yeah.
don't take deload to save your life.
Yeah.
I
Take
can
deloads when things are still good and you're not in a panicked mindset like I need a fucking break. That's not a real break. Taking a
Yeah.
break while things are good too is still smart. That keeps you in that abundance instead of doing this thing that we all do and then freak
Yeah.
out for a bit. Why don't we save ourselves the fucking problem and realize we start freaking out in about this many weeks? And why don't you schedule like a 30% work effort week and have a deload and figure out how to disconnect and be able to actually connect back to where you want to go and make sure that all the actions you are taking are on purpose instead of living in that reactionary zone where you feel like you're just doing the same shit every day because it was on the list yesterday.
Yeah.
How long did it take you to get to that point where or where I guess how
40
frequent?
years.
40 years.
Yeah. 40 years old.
Good point.
I, I think I think that's part of the problem is approaching that mindset early on to make it happen and be a non-negotiable for yourself, and then knowing that these things can still, in fact, like you said, run with you at 30% or 100% off. You know what I mean? Like that. I think it takes a lot of well, one, systems and building those things out and letting people know like, hey, you can't reach me for a few days. And like I said, for me, it's like it hasn't come to
Also,
fruition.
it won't fucking blow up.
It won't.
Like you need
Yeah,
to have confidence in that.
yeah. There's never been a macro emergency, right, or a nutrition emergency. Like, but sometimes I think. I mean, I had Jason Phillips tell this to me when he was probably at the pinnacle of like him actually coaching people, right? Like versus where he's at now, and he's like, you guys got to learn how to like just shut it off at the end of the night, and just fucking go to bed and stop like worrying about putting an email at 10 p.m. Yeah, and all those things. Like learn how to put those boundaries in place. That took
Well, because I
years.
mean, look, boundaries. So many people think boundaries are this line that I declare and then I have to protect by how I deal with people around me, like trying to constantly keep them from crossing over the lines. They're your fucking boundaries.
Yeah,
Like these are yours to hold, and you hold them by having consequences for it. Otherwise, it's a request.
Yeah.
Like my gym here in St. Louis is free. I don't charge anyone to train here. It's open door for friends and for people to come in on the weekends. The other thing I noticed is it's kept spotless. I don't need anyone to train here, and everyone here is aware of it. It's a gift. And those boundaries are you'll respect it the way I do, or you don't have to be here. And that's both cool with me. And so the place is kept spotless. So if you set boundaries with your clients and say you will catch emails from me on these days to these days between this time and this time, the rules are set. But that's up for you to enforce that. If you start sending them emails at 10 p.m., they go, oh shit, he's awake anyway. I'll do that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'm seeing that with Marcos a lot because he and I are kind of like on this entrepreneurial like journey together. And it's like, I want him to do that because he's got the kids and stuff. And, I see them at practice. And I'm like, don't don't be on your phone. Like, just be there, be present.
Seriously with that, right? Like, look at, have you ever read 4 Hour Work Week by Tim Ferriss?
It's been years.
It's great. Revisit it.
Yeah.
Look at prioritizing your schedule and setting that up so that you say, look, for the first however many hours of my day, this is when I handle client calls. Wait till your emails to get there. Don't do one and then half jump to something else. Be able to focus.
Yeah.
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 I mean, if you can get it done in 3 hours instead of spreading it out over 5.
Why wouldn't you do that? Yeah.
It's easier.
Well,
yeah.
Or you can admit that this is how you want to do it, but then don't piss and moan about it not feeling focused or something else. You just can't have it both ways.
Yep.
I've been in that perpetual state, man. Like doing just that is like like hell, I'm sitting for the first time in what feels like forever because like the flow state and the actual work getting done in a timely manner is bounding myself to the actual monitor setup, you know what I mean, to get it done. Versus before, I found myself again, it was like I had a different goal. It was like I'm going to get my movement in. So now I focus on getting that shit done earlier. And if there are calls where it can be more free flowing, then using that as the movement sector versus like the standing desk sector where it like has the propensity to leave that setting. It's finding that balance.
How does the training you're doing now drive performance and what the current goals are?
Exactly.
Which is being able to focus more on your clients, which is being able to manage more stress, which is being able to answer that call in your head that says you can't do this and the imposter syndrome and bullshit.
True.
It's being able to say, yeah, we can. I know when those alarm flags go off, and I know they go off way too fucking early.
Yeah, they really do. They really do. Matt, I wanted to ask you, there's been something in my head. I follow a lot of like your apparel, right? And your apparel is just freaking phenomenal.
Thank you.
Where did you find the propensity to like be like an artist like that? Because I see some of the stuff that you put out. I'm like, dude, this is like so catching, so mesmerizing. Like I want not just a shirt, like I want like a poster of that or something like that. I'm like, and you constantly do it too though. Like artistic creation, it's a hard thing. My grandma, she used to work for Pixar. She's done movies like Treasure Island, Lilo and Stitch, all the Lion Kings and stuff. But it's like, how do you have the propensity to constantly come up with like such amazing like artwork for your stuff?
So like 2 parts to that, right? Like I've got a really great graphic design team that works for Not Dead Yet Now. However, like every concept for shirts comes from me original. There were years ago where I was nervous about like, what if I can't think of anything? It's never been a problem. So like, I don't even have that feeling again. I'm also, so after having that and having some artistic background, right? Like I speak that language enough. I did band and apparel for bands back in the early 2000s whenever I was tour managing, and then I designed stuff for a bike shop I had that was failing. So I got a little bit of cut of teeth on it, and I like doing apparel. And then when I had the opportunity to do it with Not Dead or Hate with my own stuff, it was a lot of fun, and it's been a lot of fun for 10 years. I just want to make stuff I wanted to wear anyway. I'm super stoked other people are into it. But at this point now, like if for sure the business and all the other things I'm doing, like that stress makes it harder for me to get in the creative space. So I've put together like a systematic routine with my mornings to set me up for it. So like my morning routine now is, I come to the gym and the first thing I do is somewhere, an hour of zone 2 cardio, and I don't touch my phone for 2 hours. So I do an hour of cardio and I end up watching like a documentary or something new, like something I'm just interested in. I just want to spark interest in something, curiosity, some new information, some new thought pattern. And then when I wrap up there, I go to the sauna and I listen to usually a book and I journal. I journal while I'm in there. There's usually some thought that's come up that I'm like, oh, that makes sense in regards to chasing your dream or not being able to give up when this says this, or how do I look at the universe and the challenges it put in front of me. Like whatever comes up, I write about. And a lot of that ends up coming out in the form of apparel. So when I wrap up with the cold plunge, usually in the morning, and doing breath work and kind of getting back present, I'm ready to start. Like I'm in the creative mode. If I'm really dragging on it and I'm not feeling it, I'll start adding in my morning. Instead of journaling, I sketch. And throughout the month, it'll get better. I won't want to sketch for shit the first week. Oh, well, I've done this before. I know that I won't want to sketch the first week. So what do? Is I let something decide what I sketch those days. ChatGPT, give me 5 things to sketch. Perfect. The point is, I'm doing the thing that builds the momentum. I'm not waiting for inspiration to hit me. I know how to fucking create it.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds like you're appeasing the muse, as our good buddy, what's his name?
I know what happens if I don't.
Stephen Pressfield. Yeah.
Yeah, and look, I know what happens if I don't. I'll run dry. I get really shitty around people, and I'll get self-destructive.
Yeah. So that morning routine, how early do you start it?
Varies. Look, I live a bit like a lunatic, so part of one of the ways I embrace the insanity that is entrepreneurship and the life I've created is I don't care what time of day it is anymore. So sometimes I wake up really early, like say 2:30, and then I just come up here and start. It's great. So then I have like 7 hours before anyone asks me anything.
Yeah.
Other days, like normally, I'm between 5 and 6.
Yeah.
But I mean, I haven't used an alarm clock in years.
Yeah.
Those earlier mornings is because there's other like stressors of life on the mind.
Well, like I know by 9 a.m. my inbox is going to start.
Yeah.
Like there's going to be things trying to get my attention after 9 a.m.
Got it.
And so pretending that I'm going to distract myself from those things at 9 a.m., I'm done pretending I'll master that. I won't. That's a lie that I try to say. I don't have a system for it. It doesn't work for me. So I don't lie to myself about it anymore. So anything that I want to be progressive in my life has to happen in that time.
Yeah.
That's where I do coursework. That's where I learn new shit. That's where right now I've signed up and want to get better at public speaking. And so I've joined a group and pay a membership to be part of it. And that's when I put that coursework in, when my brain's the freshest.
That's it seems like it's the common trend amongst every successful person is like the time you block out for yourself has to be where there is no, like you just said, other things that will be calling and getting your attention because you're going to gravitate towards that. Like you said, there's no way of mastering that. And like you just said before, it may only take you an hour to clear that inbox from 9 to 10 because your intention has been set knowing that thing is the non-negotiable for closing deals or leads or whatever, right? Like that is like, quote,
it's work.
Yeah, it's work.
It has to be addressed.
Yeah.
And also, like, that inbox ain't never empty. So we can quit pretending it really is. It's like the to-do list I've got on the board. Like, I'm never going to get fucking through it. I'm going to add more shit to it every day.
Yeah. One thing I've learned, Marcos and I just finished a 20-week course. We're going to get board certified here as health and wellness coaches from like Precision Nutrition and like the board certification that we're continuing on. one of the things that they taught us in their lesson was, as a coach, care less. And I've had to do that with my own expectations of like what we're talking about here. Like, oh, this has to be at this time, yada, 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 yada. It's like, yeah, it's going to be at that time. But like, if it's in blocks or kind of blockades, kind of care less, because if you're stressing about it before you get there, there's really no point of putting that energy in there. And
Look,
I've
I
just
know
learned,
that
yeah,
I can't do creative work after like 3 p.m.
yeah,
So I'm done trying. I can stand there for photos, but if you want to brainstorm ideas, nah, I got nothing to give.
yeah. So that's I'm the same way. I told Marcos we did an evening workout once, and I thought I was about to die. I was like, dude, I do workouts at 5 a.m., bro. I don't do workouts in the
Yeah,
evening.
yeah. I mean, that, and I do a really good job of having like a hard end to my day. When my day ends, I mean, sometimes that's 7 or 8 p.m. Um, it's sauna and cold plunge.
Yeah.
And that way I've got that big like pattern interrupt, right? Like I've got those two things that bookend my day. And once I go home, I'm done with the phone. I'll check it, but it's staying plugged in. So like I'll have it plugged in the room I'm in. It's just not in arm's reach.
It's taken a long time to master, and there are moments, I'm sure you even go through it, where it does sneak back in. You get
Well,
it
like,
back. Yeah.
I mean, you got a chick?
I'm married,
Are you married?
2 kids.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So be accountable with your partner, right? Like one of the things Bonnie and I do is with accountability and not taking it as rudeness or any of these other things. Both of us work online, and the tendency to get trapped in that phone is fucking easy.
Oh yeah.
And also, I can pretend to justify it because I'm working. But anytime we catch the other person, we both have the right to ask, like, yo, are you trapped or are you working?
Yeah.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah. I'm going to have to
Because if
start
you're
taking that.
trapped, yeah,
Yeah.
if you're trapped, here's the lifeline, put it down. Look at your phone and say, fuck you, make me money, and set it down.
Yeah. It's weird because like you said it right there. Like, are you working? Or you're
Because
saying
if
like,
you're working, no sweat,
yeah,
no feelings about it whatsoever. But that's up to you to be honest.
yeah. You could make an excuse like, oh, I'm social media because I have to make this post for social media or whatever. And then you get sucked in a
Sure.
trap like, oh, I was supposed to post that 15 minutes ago. This is the script that I was supposed to
Yeah.
post. And it's like, you
Yeah,
get
it's tough,
lost in
dude.
that.
That thing's a
Um,
goddamn disaster. I'm aware of how fucking scary it is and why people are trapped in it. It's the coolest thing ever made.
The death box, the
yeah,
death
I
screen.
get, yeah.
Yeah.
I
I think
tell, so Desiree's go ahead, Marcos.
no, well, he brought that up about like calling each other out, and it has been a point of contention for, I feel like, a lot of relationships of that I coach slash being a part of it. And I think the hardest thing is I feel guilty if more isn't getting done right now, because my wife is in such a pivotal phase for her own business. So it all stems upon me getting more done than I realistically want to, right? But if not, then the mortgage, the bills, the this, the that. There's the justification is like, I don't, there isn't this constant state of like income flow for her quite yet. So it all kind of lands on me, quote, on me, or those difficult conversations with her, which we can't address properly yet. It's like part of our relationship that wasn't something that we discussed before getting married. It was like, who's going to be the breadwinner? Who's going to take care of the kids? Who's going to take care of these other things?
How about both?
What's that?
How about both?
Well, yeah, but then it's tit for tat. Well, I did this, then you should do this. I know it sounds weird. Logically, you're like, wait a minute, what? But
I think that's an issue with communication in your relationship and possibly with you keeping score between you and your partner.
I mean,
I
I
don't
mean,
keep
I've like,
score.
yeah, you're right and wrong. Not trying to keep a score, but then there comes like these points of contention and figuring out how to navigate a conversation that had never been a conversation for over 5 years is like a whole new uncharted territory. And then shutting out and different feels, different, like logically, it's like, yeah, we could just talk about this and we'd be good. But that person is not into the logical framework per se.
Well, then that comes with you figuring out how to communicate impeccably to your partner so that she understands the intentions of what you'd want to talk about instead of feeling attacked.
Yes, still working on it. It's a work in progress. It's a work in progress, I assure you.
But not
I,
having the conversations. And also, how about having that conversation starting with that? Hey, I don't know how to say this to you yet. I don't know
Yeah.
how to address this yet. Here's how I feel. I don't feel like I'm doing enough. I don't feel like I deserve what we have going on. And that's why I'm so focused on this, because I'm fucking terrified. I'm fucking terrified that if I don't get this done, we'll lose X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
Yeah. Never hurts to try it. Nothing ventured, nothing gained. Yeah, it's
Let her know that I feel insecure about it. And what's the loss there?
ooh.
Because I mean, look, as entrepreneurs, right? Like, there's a lot to this, right? As entrepreneurs and as people, especially high achievers, like, you're gonna be mean to you, man. That's part of the realm of giving a shit.
Mm-hmm.
But you also got to be nice to you too. And like this ability to drive forward, and put your head down and not worry about the problems and focus and continue to drive forward. That's like having a fucking sledgehammer in your toolbox for success, but that's the only tool you got. For one, what does success look like? Why don't you have a clear look at what that looks like? And also define, what does that look like in my relationship? How do we communicate? How do we talk to each other? What are we not allowed to talk about? Because that's fucking crazy. We can make people, but we can't talk about this.
Mm.
Like, take a little ownership to both of you growing up.
Yeah.
Or you can let the contentment build into resentment and then eventually spoil the relationship.
Marcos, I'm going to say this one time. How serendipitous is this right now? It's a conversation that ebbs and flows between Marcos and I, and
Look,
relationships
man,
are there.
my passion is working with people. I don't focus on anything but life performance.
Yeah.
That goes into all these categories. Because that amount of honesty that you have with you will also limit the amount of honesty that you're willing to have with her. I mean, have you answered all those questions about what I just asked? About what is the insecurity of why you feel this way? Why do you feel like you're not giving enough?
It's a good question. I think the insecurity lies in, like you just said, is it have I deserved where we're at, right? Like you mentioned, right? Like that's an insecurity. Um, how does it get to more where it feels like there's a cushion, right? Like there can be, because the business will have ebbs and flows, right? Like people will come in and out. Months will be great, months will be tight, right? And I think the biggest thing personally was, instead of me being like, again, the different ways I've tried it, it's like every month it's slightly different to how to open up on that communication angle. Probably is just like you just said, approaching it with that simple thing. I don't know how to say this quite right, and I don't want you to be offended. That is not my intent, right? And but this is, again, like, this is how I feel. This is what's going on. Ironically, something happened last week where I didn't have to say anything because she already knew, and it was opening a piece of mail that she's like, where is this money going to come from? And I'm like, it's a good question. I think it made her do some soul searching as to being like, what am I doing versus like, what does he have to do?
Right on.
Which was great. And
then,
yeah.
Explain the stress that you feel. Quit
Yeah.
pretending she can read your fucking mind.
Yeah.
Why? They're shit at reading ours.
Yeah.
People are terrible at it. People's perception of reality alters wildly differently from person to person. And unless you inform them of how you feel and what you're seeing and where the attacks feel like they're coming from, they don't know. Quit assuming they do.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Have you
No,
ever read
like,
the Four Agreements?
Which one?
yeah, yep. The Four Agreements
I would,
by
I would
Paulo.
recommend giving it a read.
Four Agreements.
The lady, yeah, the lady and I read that to each other. I took a page, she took a page. I think our communication has definitely gotten a lot better because of that. And one of the things, I mean, we're kind of hitting on this right now. Marcos is communicating with his wife. I'm communicating with my lady, and like, it's all. I feel like right now, Marcos and I are again into this serendipitous like tipping point. Marcus is having these conversations. I'm having conversations with the lady about like what it looks like in the future. Like, hey, what real estate are we going to grab? Or like, what does our future look like? You know, families having conversation of like, hey, what's the family talk looking like when the kids come in? And yeah, I told her like, I told her straight up like, this is what I want to do. This is my vision. How do you feel about that? And she's like, I don't know if that's realistic or if that's doable in this time frame, or she had her skepticisms. And then I told her like, I don't need you.
Putting time on things. Because I've always found that to be borderline worthless.
I'd say like where we see the business, or where we see uh, how many people we're serving and we're able to get to in terms of like impact. That's kind of like one of the big ones in time frames. And I mean, also like what I'd like to see for myself personally, like I'm 29 and the goal and the intent is to retire my mom by 33, 34.
Okay. Right. So then, like, that whole focus and purpose that you're talking about is mostly made on making money.
Yeah.
Right. So that's your destination. Is cash answers all your problems.
With a caveat.
Okay.
I
Tell
get,
the universe.
yeah, I know. I get it. I've had this conversation. Marcus,
Let it know how it can perfectly serve you. This. Let me know.
Say that again.
financially,
Let me know how the universe can perfectly serve you with. I would like to have my dream of making this much money to take care of these people, but also.
Mm.
you got me stumped there.
It's not black and white. Is I think it's
No.
what he's getting at. It's not a math
What I'm
equation.
saying is the money thing is a side effect.
Mhm.
The money thing's the side effect of you making something that's valuable.
Mm-hmm.
It's you continuing to educate yourself. It's continuing to figure out how to run the business. It's continuing to figure out how do you manage all this stress so that you can keep growing a business. Because this stress piece ain't never fucking going away, my friends.
How's
Want to be entrepreneurs forever? Then this is what you need to stomach.
Yeah.
Because this is why people quit. Understand that feeling, that uncomfortability, that's the universe asking you to be better.
100%.
How you answer that call is up to you. You can either look at it as this attack saying I'm not enough, or the universe is saying, yeah, you have to solve this to get where you want to go.
It's an ignorance tax. If you're trying to make $1 million, you have $1 million
That's the
ignorance.
hero's journey. The hero's journey is riddled with potholes and things that you have to overcome to get to the point of being brave and smart enough and well traveled and experienced to slay the dragon.
Yeah.
It's not a cheat code.
No hack.
It's the ask along the way. You know, it's the same as training and getting hurt and realize, like, well, I can go in and train and do one arm stuff for the next week. Like, where do you apply that to your business when you're beat? It's not perfection, it's progress. Be stoked on progress and the intent of continuing to get better at what you do for the next decade. The rest of the other stuff takes care of itself.
so true. Yeah, the
I want to be so valuable that I can retire my mom.
That's the goal. But then
Sure,
there's
right?
more.
But like, and there should be more goals. But pretending that those destinations are going to be some spot that you get to, like it won't work that way. Like you have to have a bigger thing to chase. And that chase is being your best at
Yeah.
whatever it is you want to do.
Mm-hmm.
Because whether it's just this job or any other, man, you're not obligated to do it. And no one issued you this. All that stress in your life, you chose this.
Yeah.
So thank it. That's what other people quit about. It's fucking hard.
Made me reflect on going back to just that construct of putting the onus on yourself, right? And then getting the other person to understand. Like my wife will say this: I didn't sign up for you to be traveling as much as you do for your job. And I was like, nor did I. But in order to grow, one must go where the growing is taking place. And I don't know how else to articulate that to her. And I know it's not, quote, what she signed up for. But like you're saying here is like this, quote
So
unquote.
get down to what she's really stressed about, right? Is it because you're not around, or is it because she feels fully responsible for maintaining this thing while you're chasing a dream?
Oh, it's dealing with the kids when I'm not there and not having a second hand there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, to me, I'm just want to say tough shit. Like, I mean, you don't pay the bills. Not to say you don't get a
But
say.
you also chose to have kids.
We did. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
That's not a hand going off to the other person.
no, yeah. No, yeah. Like and so I'm just like I didn't choose this path, but this is the path that we're on currently and it's going to change again in the next quarter. Guaranteed.
And so can allowed to be how she feels about it.
Yeah.
You know, I ended a 13-year marriage, man, because me and my ex-wife weren't interested in going the same direction. Super sucks.
I know.
But at the end of the day, like, this is what I want to pursue in my life. And if it's not what someone else signs up for, this is a miserable fucking life to get dragged through.
Ain't that the truth? Not
You
yeah.
know, and so like without any resentment or with anything else, you know, her and I are still friends. We still operate that way. But I had to decide how much a vote on my future and the direction I want to go do I give to anyone else? And if I feel like giving that person a vote, do I resent them for it? Because at the end of the day, you chose it. It's a tough battle, man. It's a tough balance to figure out how to manage that. That is part of the problem of doing what you want to do for a living, is figuring out how to slay that dragon, which is communicating better with your chick.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. 1,000%.
But,
It is part it
but I can guarantee you saying tough shit ain't it.
No, I know. That's I mean, that's for the podcast audience only because she doesn't listen yet. But she I mean, again, like I I have to be better about just getting it off the chest, right? Like, and so does everybody, because then you do turn it into resentment, and you're just then it leads to that fucking culmination of an argument or whatever it is, and it's yeah, like you just said, it's like, are we running parallel to one another? Are we running askew? You know what I mean? Like, are we on top of one another? Are we is the trajectory actually supposed to be us? And like that is I mean, a real question I think a lot of relationships do have at some point, you know?
Yeah, of course. I mean, change is tough.
Yep.
It is. And so is being someone that wants to chase dreams. It's a lot to balance. I mean, maybe decide if 80% growth is worth keeping your fucking family happy.
Yeah. I mean, that's how it feels. I mean, Seamus can attest to that, is like that.
But that's a real question for you to have.
No, it
Like,
is.
there's no right or wrong answer to it other than how much do you really give a shit? Because your actions are what tells the world what you really feel. Because if it's simply paying the bills, you can find work.
Yeah. Find work, not have to leave the house, or find work and,
Yep.
and still be home, quote, but it isn't pursuing the dream, like you just said. And,
Yeah.
yeah, like, the dream of the perfect family life, I think, again, is what everybody is really after. But, the moments of the grind, to make the moments with them.
Oh, well, I'm not after that.
The grind?
You don't have to. No. The perfect family life. You don't have to be after that. That's a choice.
I think it's subjective. Like, I think that the moments that you
I think it's
cherish.
a choice.
Yeah.
It's all where you decide to put value, man. Ain't none of it inherently important or not important. It's your choice.
Yeah.
That's how accountability works. You didn't have to do any of this shit. You live in one of the first times in human histories that Homo sapiens are allowed to go after something they're just interested in.
Yeah.
True.
So there's
No, for
a
real.
lot of balance. There's a lot of balance that has to be decided there and figure out what that looks like.
Yeah.
I mean, how much of this is interested in serving Marco's dream, and how much of this is interested in serving the greater of the family? And also be honest with yourself where those two things rank.
Yeah.
Do we need a vision quest, Marcos? Do we need like a sit down walk, maybe a rucking session together, time away from the phones? Probably need
I
one of
would just
those.
recommend mushrooms, man.
Mushrooms. I had a bad trip when I was like 17, so that'll be off the table for a little while.
Yeah, of course you did. You're fucking
I
17.
know, I was a fucking idiot.
Your brain doesn't work. Of course you had a bad trip. That's why those drugs don't play well with 17-year-olds.
Learned the hard way, man.
Your brain doesn't work.
I've never done
If
mushrooms,
it's
so
really good, people would continue to do them. That's why they're challenged.
Yeah. No, I
I
think,
gotta figure that one out.
no, I think,
They're a fascinating tool.
oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
just a
Yeah.
tool.
Well, I think with that question, though, in my head is like, why not all of it? What does it look like to have all those things move up simultaneously? What does that take? What does it take in Marcos's quote ability and skill set to grow in all those areas? And that ends up being where, just like you mentioned, the public speaking thing being something that you've been interested in. I mean, that was the reason for this, is like, this is practicing speaking with people, theoretical people, right? And
Oh, that's why I have 400 podcasts.
yeah, just to
Yeah, man, it's
reps. Exactly. So then, when there is the stage, it feels like it was just another day. Same thing with, so it's bringing all those things up to the, I guess, like that level where, again, it's beating that imposter syndrome. It's really what I think that it is. Imposter syndrome.
Never going to go away. I deal with it multiple times a week. Super fucking loud.
Yeah, but I think you can curb it a little bit more as you feel, when you're honest with yourself and being like, I don't know, let me go find out, or let me steer you in the direction of somebody else. I think that's like the things that have helped me get to the point that we're at, is like, I don't know, let me go figure that out for you.
Yeah.
And I'm cool with not knowing everything. I used to think I did need to know everything, though.
Oh
And I
yeah.
think that's
Oh my
served me
God.
so much better. And the things that I want to place value in, like you had mentioned, is a blending of things, and finding that overlay of public speaking engagements, right? Building up relationships with people in the real world, which the podcast doesn't really do, in a sense, because this is all like a parasocial tool in a sense, right? So you can be in people's ears, but you're not actually there in the flesh. And I value being in the flesh far more. So every opportunity that takes is where the true best practice reps come.
Sure, but all this is lead generation for that.
All this is.
Yep.
Yeah. And point in case was, I mean, one of the other things that I think the biggest thing, Matt, that I'm really interested in is this greater Las Vegas community. and finding ways to give impact to people to learn things that are not being taught appropriately or maybe at all. And doing that through a nonprofit lens. And that's like my key motivator truly is that, because through that, it seems like everything else is a byproduct. Like you just said, like the finances figure itself out. Right. And that's not purely seeking money. That's purely seeking something that I feel like was missing out from my life. And I'll be damned if it, if it affects one kid every time we do a seminar,
Sure.
then it's done its job. So that's
Yeah.
really it.
Right. And so like if that's your bigger purpose, right?
Yep. That is it.
Like it may take maybe takes maybe more than one machine to get there, right? Like
Multiple.
I don't
Yep.
get to have so I don't get to have the podcast I have without the years that I spent training in a field by myself to do the Highland Games.
Yep.
I don't end up having the apparel without that. I don't end up having that without learning how to edit all the videos. I don't get to work with Indian Motorcycles last year without all the video work that we've done in the past. I don't get to coach people unless I've been through the shit.
Yeah.
Like I don't get to do any of that. Like all of it builds. And so if this nonprofit is your thing, and if I asked you, what if it takes you 15 years to start your nonprofit?
Well, I would say that that's not an issue because I made sure that was the priority in the last year, even amidst all the, finances.
Well, I mean,
yeah.
Let's say building it to what you really want it to have.
The vision,
I don't think
like
I don't think the
arc.
mission will ever be done. I think that's what you're saying is like, just like there is no end date. I can't pinpoint an end date because there isn't one. It should be ongoing, and the legacy of that thing or that idea should hopefully live on much beyond me and influence more people. So I think I don't. The kids have been a great parallel to life, because it seems like every 6 to 12 weeks there is a pivot that needs to occur because of their adaptation phase and what they can now do, and or where your time has to get spent. So I guess I'm less interested in creating a 5-year plan or goal, because I know it's going to change in probably the next quarter, no doubt.
Yep.
And now that I'm aware to that sort of thing, I just want to be able to, again, like you just said, appease the muse, do these things well. And it's why I constantly will throw different things in there. Not that we're throwing shit at the wall and seeing what's sticking, but are those things actually benefiting people? What is the right tool for like this current day and age, And so again, like the first event that we did last November, I mean, we got it like from idea to actually doing it done in 3 weeks. So I know shit can get done, I think anybody that will tell you that it takes way too long, it's like, well, yeah, I mean, maybe it didn't get as big as it could have been, but it still got done. It still was massively successful. And
So throw another event.
we are 10,
Yep.
10, 20. Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And we're, again, now you know what went well, what didn't go well. The whole ideas.
Sure, but you're still doing something in your life where you're stealing from one side.
Oh, for sure.
Right. And so what you've started this out is talking about anxiety and other things like that. Like that's why it's there. You're not aligned.
Not alive?
You're not aligned with
aligned. Yeah.
the actions you're taking with the things that you say are important to you. You're putting them all one place. But there are multiple things that are important to you, and they all need your attention and energy.
Oh, yeah.
Otherwise, they're going to fade. They'll atrophy.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And so if right now it's difficult to switch gears, to be more present when you are present, figure out how to do it. Like that's where you've got to build those boundaries with yourself. If here's how I'm really present whenever I'm actually home.
Yeah. It's been a work in progress ever since starting working from home, going on like 2 years ago, like officially with everything I do.
Yeah. Working from home's a different thing too, man. That's why I don't do it. I have an office that I rent and I go to.
If I could
too easily be distracted.
You can be. Yeah, it's been.
But I worked from home for a really long time.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And you obviously made strides, and you learned that should be something that you go and clock into, because then that environment is set up to be the most productive version of that side of you. Whereas I know there needs to be a separation between at-home office and space that we have here to that. And honestly, that is really probably the next goal is like, how does that happen? So when I'm away, there is no ask of me to put on the dad hat amidst the work hat and changing roles constantly. And I mean, hell, working from home in the first year or the transitioning when COVID happened, I mean, I was full-time babysitter with my 1-year-old daughter / working.
It's not babysitting, it's your kid.
Well, yeah, you're right. I mean, I shouldn't say it as babysitter, but I mean, I'm full-time dad mode amidst work mode. And
again, you chose kids, man.
Oh, I did. I know.
So be all in.
Yeah.
You want to talk about creating an impact? It's those two.
Yeah.
Be fucking present with the time you have.
Oh yeah, the time goes by
no
too fast.
one just look up people's regrets, man.
I know. Wish I would have taken in and soaked in those moments when my kid did X accomplishment and Y thing. And I guess the beauty of it is, looking back, is that I've been there for all those things. I've witnessed so much.
Sure.
You know?
But being there and being really present. And I mean that on an everyday basis. Not showing up for the highlight reel. That either your kids can grow up and remember dad was on the phone all the time and it was work-based and he always worked and was really stressed out.
Yeah.
Or they don't remember that. But that's your choice. I mean, I'm not here to tell you there's a right or wrong answer.
No, you can.
But your actions are going to dictate that.
They'll tell you indirectly or directly. They do. My son had a project where it was right before he went into kindergarten. You know, how do you see your dad? And it was obviously very revealing of who I am in his eyes. I know. Trust me.
What was it?
Daddy likes being on the phone. Daddy likes this. Daddy loves working. I mean, obviously it's a reality check. I'm sure most dads have done that at some point where they have felt that thing in that moment, that heart-sinking moment related to that. And I wish, again, it's like, yeah, I wish I could go back and do things differently. But at the same time, I technically
you can't.
I can't. I couldn't afford to, nor can I.
What you can do is change your actions, and your kid will never fucking remember that.
Nope. Yeah. And it's been
how the future plays out and what your kid's idea of what his parents do will be based on those choices. Those are yours and yours alone, man.
Yeah. Matt, Matt, I feel like we're in a session here, but I want to be really cognizant and respectful of it.
I'm good. I'm not too stressed in time. If I know that we took it off the rails a little bit.
No, I think it's what I honestly think it's what Seamus, every time we have a podcast, it always flows in the way it's intended for us and maybe not the viewer. And it's okay because
look,
we ain't selling shit.
I don't podcast fucking for everyone else.
Yeah, yeah.
I podcast for me. I want to be able to have those conversations. I want to be able to share the resources that I can get in touch with. And if I don't learn from the people that I talk with, then I'm simply a fucking tourist. Like, you're a traveler if you integrate the experiences that you have and you learn all the way along the way across the journey. The traveler's into the journey, man. The tourist is the one who wants to knock off and say, I had whoever on my podcast, but I didn't learn shit from them.
Yeah. And we have a running,
we
have a running list of all the people that have been on since we've had people on, and each one of them key moments of impact. It's like we reflect on it to this day. We go back and look at that, and everything leads us down the right path is what we're finding. And and again, like, I mean, I don't know what to title this episode. We'll have to get creative with it, but it's like a deeper dive into ourselves. Essentially, you kind of flip.
I think Matt's branding. I want to ask him about that. Not dead yet.
Yeah,
I know that. I mean, I remember like hate being like, "Yo, this is fire, hate, self-loathing. How do you create yourself
Yeah.
through that? But then when did it become not dead yet? Like I remember just happening in the last few years, but like with COVID and stuff, I wasn't really
Yeah, we
sure of the
officially
time
did
frame.
the switch in January. So that was kind of the official switch. Prior to that, I'd kind of just been building up content that direction, and it really went that way naturally. The hate side of thing and philosophy of that, like, man, that's how I get shit done. I don't tolerate my lies. I don't tolerate my bullshit. And I don't tolerate my excuses. I understand that my actions are the only thing that matters, and those actions are either going toward the things I say that are important to me, or they're going the other way. And
Yeah.
if they're going the other way, why? Say I don't want it, free myself from that bullshit, and then focus on what I clearly am into. Because either way, at the end of this journey, I'm dead. And for me, I've got a clock I keep on that. My everyone has whatever that moment with death is. And for me, it came for a few things. It was, my father dying of pancreatic cancer in 2014. Went from alive to dead in 11 months. And he passed away the day before I turned 31. He was 62. So he's, twice my age. And I just really took it really loud as being halfway through life. And for me, if that's true, it calculates out to 1,612 weeks. I get 1,612 weeks at 31 to do everything I've ever dreamed about. To figure out who the best version of me is, to see all the things I've ever dreamed about, to experience the things, to have the adventures, to do it all. And whether I live my life according to that truth and desire that I have to build whatever it takes to have those experiences, or I fall in line and follow the standard path and dream about it and wonder about it and wonder what if, fucking dead at the end.
Yeah.
They both end the same way. And with my dad, the realization of that is no matter what I do to take care of myself or what I prepare for, or any of that, there's a chance I get fucking sick and things go really shit and I die in 11 months. That happens to people all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The ride's got to be worth it.
Yeah. Yeah. I
That's where not dead yet came. Like, man,
yeah.
that's why I fucking do everything I'm into.
Yeah. I mean, it fully resonates with me. I mean, your story, you losing your father. I lost my stepfather to cancer too. Uh, and it's a weird thing because, I go to school for this kind of stuff, and you're like, let me see if I can help this person out. Let's get moving. Let's eat the right things. They told us he had 2 weeks. He had 2 years. Oh, he's looking good. All the medication off the line is good. He's the first one to get it. No test. It's doing great. Oh shit! It's been 3 months in. He's starting to lose it. All his lesions are back. What the fuck? Doctor just said in a tone that was so neutral, I couldn't tell if it was good news or bad news. Yeah, this is not working anymore. He had to say it twice because I was in the room and like, what did he just say? I don't know. And you can have someone for 2 weeks. They're talking, they could see you, and then 2 weeks later, just looking at you, not talking. Next thing you know, they're just kind of laying there. So, yeah, not dead yet. It's a good reminder.
So, dude, I mean, what a gift, like I said, we have of this thing. Like all the hard stuff, I get to choose it. I get to choose all the stress that I want to adapt to. And that's the only thing that makes us adapt, is how we handle stress. And through big moments of stress, we take those deloads and we figure out how to integrate what we learned and figure out how to get rid of what ain't fucking helping.
Yeah. It's got to really take full stock of that. Take full stock of your life and just go, got to cut this off.
No one else will.
No one will.
And no one is that interested in your dreams. They shouldn't be.
No.
They're yours, right? Like, I mean, my only daily mantra that I say out loud to myself, other than like gratitude work, is only I can build my dreams. Like, that's why I'm here at 3 a.m. when other people are comfortable. I'm happy to be here.
There's only one person that needs to believe in you. It's the person in the mirror. That's it.
And however much you do will limit the success you find.
Yeah.
Because some people will find it and maybe figure out financial success, but I know plenty of rich people who are fucking miserable. I know that's not it.
We know that oh too
I've
well.
chased that game. So I know if that's not it, well, then what is? What's the thing that lights you on fire? What's the thing that blows your hair back? What's the thing that you want to get better at for 2 decades?
Marcos already knows. I've been doing this for a decade already, and I'm gonna do this until the rest of my fucking life.
I can't say.
Name of the game.
I say that there's constantly new hats that are being unveiled, and that's where my curiosity and shiny object syndrome comes into play. I'm just being honest. I have a lot of things that interest me, and I wish I got to find the way to make the time for the things that have that like captivating moments.
Yeah, but what you also have to have time for is mastery of any of them that you give a shit about.
Yes.
It takes 10 years to be fucking good at anything. You get to pick maybe 3 or 4 in your life.
Trust me, I know. Fell into this role unbeknownst to me, and then it's like, all right, well, now I guess I got to get better at it because this is how I've made a living. Cool. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not mad about it.
So the change comes in flow state because people in flow state are curious about the thing enough that all they want to do is get better at it. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not work.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Like, I never had to talk myself into doing the Highland Games.
Oh yeah.
I was going to throw 5 days a week. I didn't need anyone to say like, "Hey man, do you want to go throw today?"
That's me with CrossFit, man.
You didn't need an office. You didn't. You didn't need a switch to turn you on for that. You're like, if anything, to like back off, like you say, like deload a little.
Yep.
Yeah, those moments are. You're right. That's good. That's a good thing to kind of wrap it up with. Is you only get 3 or 4 things that you got to become excellent at or can be an expert at.
It takes that long to be great.
It takes so long to be great.
Like, you have to be intentional.
Too true.
Yeah. Too true. Well, look, I want to be just mindful of our time, guys. Matt, seriously, sincerely, from the bottom of my heart, I think this is a conversation that Marcos and I.
I've been on calls with clients all morning, so I'm sure that took a direction based on all that. So,
oh,
thanks, Santa.
there's a reason. There was a beauty and a reason to it, and my word, Marcos knows, serendipity. There was a reason we had to take this call today. But Matt, I know that you're kind of launching like a whole group, a community, keeping people accountable.
Mm-hmm.
Just mind talking about that, where people can find you, and we'll wrap it up there, and we'll have that in the show notes for you.
Not Dead Yet Life is our community. We manage it with some weekly calls with myself and the group, as well as some of our other coaches. And really the focus there is about accountability and mindset. It's being able to take over that role in your head of what total accountability looks like, that these are your choices. This is your life. These are decisions you've got to make and the actions that follow it. And then the mindset is being able to stay in abundance and look at how lucky you are to have the hard days. Being able to look at the gain that you've made and the progress we're making instead of being focused so much on where we're not yet.
Yeah.
Like, there's different pursuits. There's different intention and there's different energy that comes with one of those. One of those of not being there yet is out of lack and scarcity because I'm not enough. But what you don't realize is you're already chasing your dream. Like, you're already doing it. You're already living that dream that you want to. And so figuring out how to manage it now and create the boundaries you need to instead of one day when, that keeps us focused and positive. So that's what I love working with people. I like people being able to switch from one transition to the next, like I've had to, and be able to take the skills from one place to the next and go slay the next dragon. And that's what our community is about. We've started hosting some retreats. We've got one coming up in February. It's about half full right now in Montana, where we're going to focus on breath work and journaling and some hot and cold exposure. We'll do a bit of an outdoor hike, and really just to have this tight group of people that are focused on progress and focused on being able to find the abundance in discomfort. It's through that adaptation that we continue to grow, not avoiding it, not this idea that comfortable and staying away from anxiety or any of this other shit is the way to go.
Love it.
So that's kind of what we got going on.
Retreat sounds fun.
Good. I like it.
Yeah.
What's the date on that?
The retreat is February 9th through 12th.
We kind of have a. I would have jumped in there, but that's my birthday weekend. We're doing a nonprofit event in Vegas then, so
Right on.
Yeah.
I'll be
Next
there in
time.
Seoul. I'll be there in like
More, man.
There'll be more, Seamus.
Yeah,
there'll be
we'll do
more.
another one in the fall. I think that I don't know where we're going to host that one yet, but it'll be somewhere fun.
Yeah. Marcus, you want to take us out of here?
Yeah. Well, everybody, thank you for your time today. Hopefully you appreciated the, I guess almost the dissection of our egos a little bit here, and thoughts to consider.
That's fun.
I feel like it's left me questioning quite a lot already, but things that I want to go to apply. So I appreciate your time, Matt, for helping me think deeper and again work on the connection piece with myself and also my spouse, because without her, nothing is possible. Without us working as a team unit, things don't happen. And I think, again, the whole point of this journey with everybody that's been following along up to this point is really about that self-development piece and mastering that. And the macro perspective is not simply just macros and nutrients and everything nutrition related. It is embodying more than that. And I can humbly admit when I feel like these were hard questions for me, but in a good way, because it got me, it broke me down a little bit and kind of checked myself a little bit just when I think that things are starting to flow well.
Look at the ability that we need to gain, right? Like one of the reasons I love sauna and cold and these type of things is I want people to be able to understand the difference between discomfort and danger.
Mm-hmm.
There's no danger in any of those questions. There's discomfort.
Yeah.
Right. There's also no repercussions for there's no wrong answer. It's just figuring out. It's more awareness. And once you have awareness, you can create different actions. But without the awareness, there's no point in changing anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. And obviously I'm not oblivious. I am already aware of those things, but how to maybe go about it is something that you've brought out and highlighted today, which I would envision that's really a part of what your group kind of looks like, is asking that. So if that is something that you guys resonated to, go find Matt, go find the Not Dead Yet group, and inquire within, because again, like I'm probably going to be stewing over this the rest of the day, in all honesty, which is a good thing.
Also, man, I have to say, dude, I'm so fucking sorry. I gave a lot of advice to someone who didn't solicit fucking advice about their personal life, and so
no.
That's what we sign up for. Like, I mean, as coaches and like as health and wellness coaches, nutrition and fitness coaches, how many times, Marcos, have we like literally given the person the perfect plan and it's like 30 days later, I fucking hate this shit, I'm not doing it no more. So I get it. You're just dissecting of the egos, staying open, being coachable, and being able to implement, staying accountable.
New options.
Yeah.
If nothing else.
Mm-hmm.
Just having new options to consider.
No.
Because that's where I find anxiety relief, is knowing I've got options.
Yeah.
Backed into it.
So true.
Yeah.
But yeah, Matt, thank you again for your time. If we'll give all the details of where people can find you in the show notes. And yeah, everybody else, thank you for listening. Remember to, share, like, comment, subscribe, all the good things. It relies on a community of people to help things grow. And we appreciate you for your support up to this point. And until next time, Macro Perspective is out.